Hey guys, so today we're just going to make a simple mining script using a new framework. So it's going to be a task framework. This one you can see just constantly loops over these, but instead we're going to use tasks, and we're going to say if this task needs to activate, then activate the task, and then we'll talk more about it as we do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start completely fresh. So I'm just going to make a new package for mine. So new package, we're going to call this old school RuneScape. New, and then inside here we're going to put a new class, and I'm going to call it quick mining. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to do as we did yesterday. This is the main class for our mining script, so we need a manifest. So script.manifest. We need to import that, this one here. That should be a capital M, by the way. And then obviously we need the parameters, so name equals quick mining, description equals tutorial, and properties client equals 4, author equals Chris, and finally topic equals 999. We still need to extend Poland script. Client context RT4, and then we need to import that, and then alternator here if you remember, and we need to implement the methods because we're extending it. Alright, so as you can see now we've got our poll method, and we don't actually need the start and stop like we have here. We just want the poll today, and we're going to make a new package again here, and I'm going to call this, actually we're going to call this one tasks. Now we don't need that at the moment in the old school RuneScape package, so the very top one here, we're going to do a new class and we're going to call it task. Now this isn't a main class for any script, this is going to be sort of a template, so we don't need a manifest, but because it's a template we need to call it abstract. And then basically any methods below, when we extend this in any other class, then we need to implement these methods. Just like when we extended this, we had to implement this method here. So what we're going to do as well is we need to extend client accessor. And you'll see we got a red line because we need, now if you press Alt and Enter, there's no actual methods that we need to implement, but there is a constructor. I'm going to rename this to CTX just so you can follow along more. So CTX is the client context. And because we imported the RT4 one, it knows it's for old school RuneScape. So as I say, this is like a template basically. So what we're going to do is every task we make is going to extend this class here. So we need a few methods declared. Now these aren't going to be written like normal methods like this. They're going to be written in sort of a template format. So public, but first of all we're going to need a boolean. Because this is an abstract class, we need to write public abstract boolean, and then the method name, so as it's going to be called activate, and that's it. So basically when this activates, when this returns true, then we want to execute something, we want to do something. So that means we also need a method called execute. So public abstract void execute. I can't type at all. So when this is true, run this is essentially what we're going to do, but at the moment this doesn't know that. But this is our template class, that's finished, that's all we need. So we can just close that and forget about it. So we're going to make our first task, and it's going to be a new Java class, and our first task is going to be to mine. So we're going to do mine class. Now again, this is not a main class for the script, so we don't need a manifest or anything like that. However, we do need to extend our task, the class that we just made. So extend task. And you'll see this one, so task old school RuneScape, because it's in the old school RuneScape package. So you click that, and then you see it imports, and then we've got the red squiggly lines, so we can press Alt and Enter, and then implement methods, and then you'll see there's our two methods from the class that we just made. But we also need a constructor. So if you press that line again, press Alt and Enter, you'll see that we need the constructor. Because this is RT4, you'll see that it imports automatically. So we don't have to really worry about that. We can just ignore that, basically. So these are all we have to worry about. So what we're saying is, when this returns true, we're going to run this. So we're not going to worry about this for now. Actually, yeah, we'll do this first. So we want to activate if ctx.players.local. So if our player's animation equals -1, so we're not doing anything, then we probably want to do something. But we also want to check our inventory count, don't we? Because if our inventory is full, there's no point in actually doing anything. So so here we can do and ctx.inventory.select. Don't forget to select on this one to make sure it's a new query. Count is less than, I believe it's 28, but I'm not sure. I'm going to check. I can't remember how many inventory spaces there is. This does not help. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Yeah, 28. This is going to be 28. So that says if we're not doing anything and our inventory isn't full. So we'd write return true here. If this isn't matched, then it's going to do return false. Now an easy way to do this is just take this, copy this, and change false here to that, because this here is either going to be true or false. So we can just return that instead and make our code a little nicer to read. And then in our execute, so what we're going to need here is actually public, actually no, we'll just do final static int rock IDs. It's going to be an array like last time. So we need to get our rock IDs. So if we go view objects. Now ignore the blue ones, they're just sort of the ground tiles. So we can see 7485. We're going to focus on copper because it looks like there's more rocks. Actually, they're exactly the same. But we're just going to focus on copper so that we don't sort of run between them. So 7453, 7453, 7453, 7484. Seems like there's only two. 7484. I'm sure there's more. But we'll guess we'll keep that for now. So that's our copper. Just going to drop that, and then we can turn that off. So our execute is just going to say object. So you're going to have to implement the objects RT4 object rock to mine equals ctx.objects dot, don't forget to select dot by ID. So select.id rock IDs dot nearest, so you want to get the nearest one to you, dot poll. And apparently that is not correct. Oh, it's not an object, it's a game object. Game object. So you can see it gives you useful error messages, and since we just changed that, we don't actually need this import here for objects anymore. So now we've got the object that we want to mine, and we can just do rock to mine.interact. We learnt this in the last video. Mine. So that's all we need. That will click our rock, and like yesterday, it's probably going to spam click. So we're going to need some kind of wait, just to sort of say, you know, don't don't spam click. So we're going to wait until we've actually mined. So what we're going to do is same as yesterday, condition dot wait new callable boolean, and then we can import this stuff with alt and enter, and then alt and enter again, implement methods, and then you'll see that we can do this. Now when we return true, that is when it's going to break out of this. So we want to return true when our animation doesn't equal .local. So if our player animation CTX.players, I keep putting that, CTX.players.local.animation doesn't equal -1. So we're going to break out of this when our player is actually doing something. And that means if you look here, when I click this, I don't start moving straight away. So I'd end up doing that instead of clicking once. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to say our animations is -1 at the moment. We can view this via player. So animation -1. When we click this, we're going to wait until our animation changes. So now it's changed because we're mining. So we're going to break out of this when we are mining, and that'll stop us spam clicking. And that's basically our mine task completed, actually. So we can go back to here, and what we're going to have to do now, actually we do need a start method. I was lying to you. We need to do @override public void start. And then what this start method is going to do is it's going to add the task into some kind of list. So it's going to be like a list of tasks. I don't know what else to call it. So we're going to need something to hold our list. So we're going to use a list of tasks. So you see here we have to import the list, and we also have to, we should have to import the task, I believe, but I'm not sure why it's not. But whatever. So task list equals new array list of tasks. That's all that's saying. And then we have to import array list also. So now all we do here on start is task list dot add. So we're going to add something to our list, and what we're going to add, we want to add a mining task. So we're going to go new mine. And then if you remember here, this is our constructor, and it's expecting us to pass it a client context. So in here we have to just type in CTX, and that's our client context being passed to it. And then in our poll, so this is our loop if you remember, what we need to do now is we need to do a for loop. So we just need to constantly go through, in fact we don't even need a for loop, we can just say, actually yeah, we do need a for loop for when you extend it. So we can just say for it'll be for task T in task list, I guess. Yeah. So now, in fact we'll call it task. So basically what this is saying is it's going to iterate through every list in this task. Now at the moment there's only one, but we could add as many as we want. So for every task in this list, we're going to loop through them, and we're going to call it task. So we can now get it by the handle task. So task dot activate. So you can see we've now called our activate method. So what we can essentially do here is if task dot activate. So if task dot activate task dot execute. And that is all you need. But what you should also do is, when you get to here, you want to just type break, because that will help you in the future. Don't worry about it now, but when you prioritize certain tasks, like eating or dropping, you don't want to eat, for example, and then start attacking a monster. You want to eat and then check again if you need to eat. So that'll be quite important to you, but for this script it's not going to matter, but I would recommend just doing it anyway, just so you get into the habit of it. So now we've got that, when we run our script we should start mining the copper. So if you remember, we just have to right click here and go compile, and then when it's compiled down here at the bottom, we can just click file, play, and it's not showing up for some reason. Perfect. Let's go RuneScape task. Name equals quick mining tutorial. Oh, because I ran this without the IDE, I'm sorry. So we just need to, I'm going to pause the video while I load up RSBot. Okay, so I just loaded up the client here, and we're just going to run our script now. So we've already compiled it. So once we're logged in, we can just click. Again, I'm going to do view mouse and view mouse trails just so we can actually see what the script is doing. I'm just going to stand here, and we want our mining script. So we click play, and you'll see it clicks it, and it doesn't spam click because of that sleep that we put in. So let's have a look. So it's just going to mine. Now you will see that while mining, your character just stop intermittently, just for a split second. Now you see here, this is that was just the sleep bugging out a little bit because we didn't supply the parameters here. So we want a maximum sleep probably of about 2 seconds. So we're just going to do every 200 milliseconds for 10 times. In the old days, your character would stop mining for about half a second, even though it'd actually still be mining, but it'd stop for half a second. It doesn't seem to be doing that anymore. Looks okay, so I might not teach you about that. Yeah, it seems fine. So okay, so what we want to do next is we want I'm actually going to let this run because I want to get a full inventory. So what I'm going to do next is we need to get the ID for the copper ore because we're going to end up dropping it. So items 436. So we're going to need a new task. So inside our tasks, we're going to do new new class tasks. Wrong thing. Don't know why that was open. New class, and we're going to call this drop. So as before, we're going to extend the task, this one here, and we're going to have to implement its constructor. Let's construct its methods, and then also add its constructor. So activate. So we want to activate if our inventory is full. So return ctx.players inventory .select. Don't forget to select as always. .count is greater than 27. We could either do greater than 27 or equal to 28. And then the execute, we basically want to loop through every inventory item and then drop it. So we need some kind of way to identify which items we want to drop. So this is why we're going to add the final static int, and then it's not going to be an array because as you can see it's only 436. So equals 436. We need a name, of course, so copper ore. So copper ore. And then what we're going to do in the execute, so if this is true, what we want to do is we want to drop every item, not just one of them. So we're going to have to do another for loop. So for item, we'll we call this copper ore. Import item RT4. For every copper ore in ctx.inventory.select.name. So you want to select by the name copper. In fact, no, we can select by ID. I don't know why I wouldn't do that. Select by the ID copper ore. And that's all you want to do. You don't want to poll it because we're looping through it. So this is gonna say for every single item. Then so we're gonna handle them one at a time. Are we full yet? No. So for every copper in the inventory, we can do copper ore dot select, not interact. Sorry, I've been using some other APIs. It's throwing me off. Interact drop, and then here we're actually going to add copper, because if we've got something in our inventory like this, and then we right click the wrong item, then it's still going to actually say, it's going to see drop and drop it anyway, because it's not that smart unless we specify drop copper. So the problem with this, well, there is no problem with this, it's going to work, but it might loop a bit too fast as usual. So we probably still want to implement one of these sleeps. We don't want to wait quite as long as 2 seconds per drop, but we probably want to wait maybe 500. So we're going to check every 25 milliseconds because it's quite a fast action for a maximum of 20 times. If you've got severe lag, then it could take a bit longer. And we're going to say up here, at the very start of the for loop, we're going to say int current amount of copper equals ctx.inventory.select.id copper or .count. So that's how much is in our inventory at the moment. So we want to return true when we've got less. So ctx.inventory.select.id copper or .count doesn't equal the current amount of copper, which again is misleading, so I'm going to change this to start amount of copper instead. Start amount of copper is accessed, needs to be declared final. So all we have to do is final, not there, oh my god, final int, like that. And then, so that will just say, that'll just wait until you've actually dropped it before trying to drop the next one. And now the clever part is, that's almost full. So the clever part is that with the task framework, we can go back to here and we can just, before this, because we want to give this sort of priority, so task list.add new drop, pass it CTX, and then import the drop class that we just made. Now also what you can do here is, if all these tasks are specific to this this script, you can just change that to an asterisk, and that's like a wildcard, so that would just import every task. So as you can see, we're full, so I'm going to stop that. I'm going to drop this also, just because. So now we've added both tasks and we've gave that priority above this one because of this break. If we didn't put this break there, it'd still have priority, but it wouldn't break out and then check again if you need to drop. It would just say if I need to drop. And then if that returned, if that came out and you still needed to drop but it errored for some reason, it would still try to mine, but because of this break it's not going to do that. It's like a safety. So if we go RSBot compile and then wait for it to compile, it should be done, I suppose. Script play and then quick mining. So if you do this, you'll see that we now click the rock, and now it's activated the drop class. And you see that's it's perfect. So that's basically all we want. Now another problem with these scripts is if I'm mining something and someone else gets it, like if two people are mining the same rock and someone else gets it ahead of me, then I'm going to continue mining like that guy's doing there. So there's obviously two people here, I suppose. Yeah, there's two people, they're mining the same rock. So when this rock goes, that guy's probably going to still be mining it. Although he got it that time. But that's inefficient because what you want to say is as soon as this rock is depleted, move on to the next rock. Don't continue mining. So in our mine task, our activate shouldn't be if our animation is -1. Well, it should be, but we also need some. Actually, no, it shouldn't. We don't need that at all. Instead we want to check if the rock we're mining is still a rock, or if our inventory is, or if our animation is -1. So I'll go through that in just a second. Hey guys, sorry about that. I just paused the video to think about this logically. So what we need to do is we need to say if the rock we're mining has been depleted, we need to move on to a different rock. That's essentially what we're trying to say. However, it's possible that the rock could get mined and come back before we notice. So we also need to still check for our animation. That's why the animation is still important. So to implement something like this, think about it logically. So as we just said, if the rock is no longer there, so we could, the keyword is rock and there, so the rock at that location is no longer there. So we probably want to check for rocks at that tile and check there is rocks at that tile is probably the best option to do. So let's add a new tile. Now you're going to want to import, I'll take this out just so I can show you. You want to import tile, and it's not going to be the RT4 one, it's going to be the org.powerbot.script one. This is just a generic tile. We're going to call it rock location. And this essentially is going to be null, but we're not going to set it to null because that's kind of dangerous. So we're going to do tile.nil. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we need to put something in there. So we're going to go rock location equals rock to mine dot tile. In fact, we're going to do it before we click mine, just for safe measure. And then in our activate, so instead of activating when our animation is -1 and this, in fact we don't even need this anymore. We don't need to check our inventory because drop has got priority here. So we can just delete that because drop is already checking that for us. So basically the script will never get to this point if our inventory is 28 anyway, so there's no need for that. So instead, we still need this, as we just said, in case the rock comes back without us noticing, but we can also check now that there's still a rock at our tile. So to do that, we probably want to do ctx.objects.select. So let's get a new query. So what we want to find a rock at a certain location. So let's have a look what we've got. Nothing useful. There you go. At locatable. So we can do at tile. So at rock location. And so we need to get objects at that location, but there could be more than one. So we're going to have to find a specific object. So we need ID rock IDs. So it's got to be one of our rock IDs. And then we're going to do poll. So get one of those. There's only going to be one of those anyway. And we're going to check that it isn't ctx.objects.nil. And then we're also going to put an OR here. So we're going to say if the rock is no longer there, or if our animation is -1, then we're going to mine. And this will work perfectly for us. One more thing that I should, before we carry on, mention is in our for loops, what you want to do is you want to add a little thing here that says if ctx.controller dot is stopping, then you just want to break. And what this is saying is if the user has clicked stop, then don't finish the loop, just break out of it, because if you try and finish the loop after they've clicked stop, it's not nice behavior, because that you're still going to be clicking, they've already clicked stop, it's just not nice. So we've got a loop here and we've got a loop here, like that. That's all we need to do there. And this will work. So let's compile this, and then let's run this also. Now these are stood here. Now I'm pretty sure they've got a higher mining level than me, so this should show you nicely. So quick mining, we're running, we're clicking that rock, it's already been depleted, and you can see we just jumped straight onto the next one. And okay, we're jumping back and forth for some reason. Okay, so that did not work. So doesn't equal nil. Oh, it should equal nil, I'm sorry. If it does equal nil, that was pretty stupid of me, I'm sorry. So we're going to stand back here and we're going to play our miner script, and it should work this time. So we click that rock, but we know they're mining it, so they've got it already, and we're supposed to break out, but we didn't for some reason. Okay, my apologies. I think I figured it out. So because we're comparing objects and not like values like integers and stuff, we actually need to do equals here. I believe that was the error. We'll see in a second. So if I compile this, hopefully now it works. I'm going to stand here again and just run this quick mining. So that we know they've already clicked that because they just mined that. So this should get depleted pretty quick. Oh, we got it. We actually misclicked and got the wrong rock, so I'm just gonna walk back to the proper area here. So let's wait and see. So the rock's been depleted. As you can see, as soon as that happened, the mouse keeps misclicking this rock. I can't get a good example for you. Okay, so this one should work. Oh, we got it. Damn it. Okay, so as soon as that rock gets depleted, we click another one like that. So you can see that instant switch. That's what I'm talking about. That's the sort of logical thinking you need to be doing to make your scripts better than other people's. Because the faster you get this one, the faster you switch rocks, the more efficient your script's going to be. I think I'm going to leave this video there for today, or for now, just because it's getting a bit long. But in the next video, I want to show you how to make sort of a user, not really user interface, I don't really use them myself, but sort of a dialog box that's going to allow the user to select what they want to mine, and also walking, so maybe a banking option, and I believe that's all the next video is going to contain. I'm really not sure where to go from here, because I mean, this foundation here, this can be applied to almost any script. Like, you could go and make a fishing script, a woodcutting script, a combat script, just very, very easily using the techniques we've just learned in these two videos. They do need a lot of work to make them better than what's out there at the moment, but this is a really solid base, and if you understand what's been said in these videos, then you can essentially you can essentially make any script you want. perhaps in a future video also we will go into widgets. And also maybe something to show you about the bounds so that we don't misclick as much. But it's really not that much of an issue right now. So thanks for watching, guys.